All right, on tonight's program, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Congress has just passed an AI kill switch for vehicles that will be manufactured coming down the pike. We're going to talk about details about that, what this is all about, why are they doing this, and why it's all being under the guise of safety. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Wells Fargo is patenting smart dust for biometric payment verification for the future of cash payments. Also, massive amounts of data centers are still being constructed around the nation. Some of these are called hyperscale data centers. In just one town of 7,000 in Pennsylvania, there are so many data centers going up that they're equating this to adding 51 Walmarts in one single town. We'll talk about the ramifications of this, the dangers of this, what this means. We'll get into a lot of detail about this. Then a new report is indicating that AI bot says it has figured out how to destroy all of mankind with a secret CIA program, and it can be used through your smartphone. So buckle up. We've got a lot to talk about on tonight's program. Let's go.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's going on, guys? It's Tuesday, April the 28th. We want to welcome you to End Time Headlines. This is news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. Of course, I'm your host, founder, voice, and pastor of End Time Headlines, Ricky Scaparo. We want to welcome you to the program. If this is your first time tuning in, joining us in the live chat, by the rebroadcast of this, listen by Apple, by Spotify, wherever you're watching or listening from, we welcome you. And if you're able to comment, do us a favor. Let us know that you are new. If you're new, let us know that you're new, where you're tuning in from. I myself want to welcome you as well as our admins. You'll see them with a little blue shield. You'll see them in the chat there on YouTube if you're listening by YouTube. As always, guys, if you can help us out by hitting that like button, we would greatly appreciate that. That's going to help us get the word out. Get us out there on this algorithm on YouTube, and you can do this on Apple and Spotify as well. And if you enjoy this content and if it's of any value to you, we would hope that you'd hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, and we have a free gift we want to give you. If you don't have our free app, we would love for you guys to pick it up today. If you're watching this by the visual, if you'll just scan that QR code, that'll take you to where you can just download our app. And again, it's available on Apple and Android devices. So whatever, if you have an Apple phone, you have a Samsung or whatever Android phone you've got, we've got you covered. Just download our free app today, hit yes to push notifications, and you're going to get all the podcasts, all the breaking news, all the headlines, all the talking points, and everything that we put out at this ministry. You'll have it right there at your fingertips. And you can get it on tablet, you can get it on your phones, you can get on both. So we pray that you'll be blessed by that. All right, guys, I want to get right into this. This is unbelievable. This is from, I'm going to show you this article. This is from michaelsnyder.com. And this is being reported by multiple outlets now. All new vehicles sold in the United States will soon be equipped with an AI kill switch that will determine whether you are allowed to drive or not. Now let's read a little of this. Imagine that you just received a very alarming call and you are in a panic to get home. Unfortunately, since your eyes are wide and full of alarm because of the phone call that you just received, the AI kill switch in your vehicle will not allow you to drive anywhere. This is not a scenario which may or may not happen someday. This is already federal law. All right, here we go. Check it out.
Mr. Massey and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes a gentleman from Kentucky.
Mr. Chair, I rise in support of our amendment. This is co-sponsored by Mr. Perry from Pennsylvania and Mr. Roy from Texas. And I regret that we have to offer this amendment. What I'm going to describe will probably sound like a bad science fiction movie, but that's what's written into law. Right now in law, that's going to be implemented it says for 2026 and beyond. Now, the reality is the technology doesn't exist, but that doesn't keep legislators from imagining things that they would like to do to infringe on civil liberties. But there is a law that states that every vehicle manufactured is going to have a kill switch in it.
Wow.
The car itself will monitor your driving. And if the car thinks that you're not doing a good job driving, it will disable itself. So the car dashboard becomes your judge, your jury, and your executioner. Imagine this. We've got a snowstorm coming. A mom takes her kids out. They're going to the grocery store. It's snowing. They're trying to get some groceries before the big storm hits. She swerves for a pothole. The neighbor's pet gets in the way, swerves for that. A first responder goes by. She pulls over. Her car says, "You got one more swerve, and then we're going to ground you." There it is. The next thing she has to avoid, an icy patch in the road. The car has adjudicated her as unsuitable for driving. It disables the vehicle, and there she's stranded. My question is, how do you appeal your sentence once your car, the technology in your car, has judged you to be incapable of driving? Once it's disabled you and your children at the side of the road, how do you appeal that? Do you press a button on the dashboard? Do you start talking to an AI? What if it really was somebody who was drunk? Are you really going to send a police car after this? Disabled vehicle? Do we have the resources to do that? There's going to be so many false positives. The technology is unworkable. That's why the DOT is still in the rulemaking process, asking for feedback on how this thing could even exist. And it's just a bad idea, but it's in law, and so our amendment would defund that. And with that, I'd like to reserve the balance of my time.
Now, folks, look, that was not something that was, that didn't come from some YouTuber. That came from our Congress. So this concept of this AI kill switch, which we'll go into more detail about this in just a moment, it's essentially a remote or automated system capable of disabling your car's operation. This is absolutely Orwellian to the max. This has the very traits of a total state control, the complete erosion of autonomy, and it has an omnipresent surveillance, again, that mirrors George Orwell's 1984. This is unbelievable, but it's not. I mean, this is, again, the beast system is taking shape and taking form right in front of our eyes. And in Orwellian society, the state or centralized power has the final say over an individual's movement. So an AI kill switch removes the private from the private property per se. So if a government agency or corporation can literally flip a switch and kill your vehicle, the ability for it to run, you truly don't even own your own vehicle. You're essentially a subscriber to a service that can be revoked at any time. Think about this. For an AI kill switch to function effectively, the vehicle must be always on and always connected. To know when to kill the engine, the system must constantly monitor. So it's always monitoring you. By the way, Tesla's already doing that, guys. The Cybertruck, the Tesla vehicles, the cars, the SUV version, I think it's the Y version or whatever, is they have that self-driving mechanism in there. It's monitoring you. And the AI in it, the cameras, the built-in cameras are always watching you, because if you take your eyes off the road, even though it's self-driving, and you start texting on your phone, or you're reading a book, or you're doing whatever, then it will alert. It'll send up alert systems, and if you keep violating that, it will completely disable the self-driving mechanism. Now that's the soft version of this. Now we're talking about a whole other level here. We're talking about the vehicle just shutting down altogether, banning you from driving your own vehicle that you bought and purchased. So listen, here's how it's going to work. It's got to stay on and monitor because it checks the biometrics. This checks for signs of intoxication or fatigue. So again, in the name of safety and keeping America safe or keeping the road safe, this is what they're doing. This is the selling point. So it's going to have real-time GPS tracking, and it's going to have AI behavior analysis. So it's analyzing your driving patterns. So let's think about this for a second. So they get us into the gate by telling us that, this technology is going to stop drunk drivers. It's going to stop car theft. Okay. And that right there, people will be like, oh, this is a great opportunity. This is a great thing. And they will buy this hook, line, and sinker. But what they don't realize is this technology, just like any other technology, will evolve. And if it falls into the wrong hands, it will have detrimental ramifications. For example, what happens when they start disabling these vehicles for political protest? They prevent travel to unauthorized zones or enforce social credit penalties by limiting citizens' mobility based on their behavior or their digital history. Now, I know that was a lot to take in. Let me break that down a little bit. So remember January 6th, all those individuals that was in proximity, whether they were involved or not, if they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, you had all these cameras and you had this sophisticated satellite technology that were able to pinpoint these individuals and their presence. And many of those individuals lost their jobs, lost their careers. They lost everything because they were at the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, what's going to happen if, again, this technology falls into the wrong hands and they determine your political affiliation is a threat to them? Or somehow you post something on your social media page that they deem a threat, they deem to be terroristic in nature. It signals a red flag. This could disable your vehicle. And then what happens in a health emergency, like the pandemic of 2020? Remember when they were banning people from driving across certain states? If you lived in this state, they didn't want you to cross over in this state. They didn't want you doing this and that. Well, hello, this is something that these people would drool over. They would love to have this technology in place, because then they can, under a health emergency, they could just flip this kill switch and you're not going anywhere. And then the social credit scoring. This is something that's been in place for a while. And these companies they're scoring citizens based on their stance of the environment, based on, again, political affiliations, all these things that they deem, they want you to check all the boxes. And if you don't, then there is penalties that come with this. So this is what this is talking about. And think about this. All of this technology, guys, has to rely on a centralized power structure. So what happens if a central server is hacked or suffers some type of glitch, it goes down, then you've got literally millions of citizens that could end up completely paralyzed in traffic. You could shut down a whole entire nation if a foreign actor was to hack into this system that we're talking about here. I don't see any good coming out of this at all. Now, as of right now, automakers are arguing that the technology still is not ready because it makes way too many mistakes. Some drivers just naturally have eye or head movements that make them appear to be impaired in some way. Of course, others are extremely upset about this dystopian law because of how extremely intrusive it really is. Now, what you may or may not know is that this has been in the book since 2021, and most Americans have never even heard about this at all. I'm going to give you a quote from this. Now, again, this is from Michael Snyder's website, themostimportantnews.com. Quote, "The measure often referred to as the Halt Drunk Driving Act anticipated that as early as this year, auto companies would be required to roll out technology to, quote, passively detect when drivers are drunk or impaired and prevent their cars, there it is, from operating. Regulators can choose from a range of options, including air monitors that sample the car's interior for traces of alcohol, fingertip readers, wow, that measure a driver's blood alcohol level, or scanners that detect signs of impairment in eye or head movement." So look at all of these. Again, you have all of these options here that they're working on. Once the NHTSA sets the final rules, there is, quote, no going back. At that point, it would take an act of Congress to overturn this law. Recently, there was an effort to remove funding for the implementation of this measure, but that effort was soundly defeated. So they're pushing this. Let me read this. A Republican-led effort to remove the HALT Act's funding was defeated in the U.S. House last month by a 268 to 164 vote. Another bill to repeal it entirely awaits a committee vote. Most of the opposition has stemmed from suggestions that the law would require manufacturers to equip cars with a kill switch that would essentially allow them to be controlled by the government. I said controlled by the government. That's what we need. We need more government control. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis posted on his social platform X, drawing comparisons to Orwell's dystopian novel of 1984. And again, the goal of the law is to, quote, reduce the number of accidents caused by impaired drivers, but they are attempting to do this in the most dystopian way possible. And in order for this to be fully completed, automakers will need to install systems that monitor drivers in real time. Again, Tesla's already doing this. These systems rely on cameras and sensors that track things like eye movement, head position, and overall attentiveness. It is not just observing, it is constantly analyzing what the driver is doing. Let me read, let's look at this. Quote, if the system detects what it believes is impairment, it doesn't just issue a warning and move on. That's what Tesla does right now. In some cases, it could prevent the vehicle from starting, listen to that, or limit how it operates once you're already driving. That means the car itself becomes the decision maker, not the individual in the driver's seat. For many drivers, this raises immediate concerns. It introduces a new scenario where a machine decides whether you're allowed to use something you own based on its interpretation of your behavior. Think about it, folks. Come on, guys. This right here, this story right here is enough to share this podcast. Let people know that, look, these science fiction novels that we read and that we've heard about, the movie Terminator and Skynet and Orwell's 1984 and the Minority Report and all of these novels and these books and these fiction, these are predictive programming. We've been warning about this stuff. Now you can let your friends know, your coworkers know, your neighbors, your family, that look, we're not tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. This stuff is really happening in real time. Let me show you something else that's disturbing. Now, this is from Wells Fargo. Anybody bank with Wells Fargo? Listen to this. And look, just because you don't bank with Wells Fargo doesn't mean this is not coming to all these other banks and corporations, because it is. You already know that. Here's the headline. Wells Fargo patent describes smart dust for biometric payment verification. According to a detailed LinkedIn post by Joe Petrocelli Mudaman, Wells Fargo has secured an active U.S. patent. This is U.S. 1135466. Yes, guys, I'm not making that up. B1. You can't make this up. That envisions a futuristic layer of biometric security using microscopic sensors known as smart dust. Look at this image. This is what we're talking about here. This is what they want. Payment approved. They're integrating this into biometric payment verifications, smart dust particles. We'll give you more detail about that in just a second. The patent describes micro electromechanical systems, or MEMS, M-E-M-S, motes, tiny dust-like particles equipped with sensors that can be released into the air during transactions to, quote, verify a user's identity in real time. This technology aims to create an invisible, multi-layered authentication shield for banking and payments. Hello, buying, selling, and trading. Potentially transforming how identity is confirmed at point-of-sale terminals or through mobile apps. The process unfolds rapidly upon payment initiation. A base station which can be integrated into a POS terminal, smartphone, or nearby hub, activates and releases the motes near the user. These sensors float or propel themselves into position, gathering intimate biometric and environmental data, including heart rate, blood pressure, body temperature, breathing patterns, facial recognition, voice signatures, and motion profiles. Is this not terrifying? Quote, these motes are stored in the base station or carried by the user in a device. Upon activation, they are released into the air near the user. The patent summary notes selected motes then transmit their readings, each carrying a unique ID, there it is, that forms part of a dynamic smart key. Folks, listen to me. We're talking about the very tools and framework for the mark of the beast system. And isn't it ironic that is literally called U.S. Patent US 1135466B1. Now, I'm not implying to you that this is the mark of the beast, so please don't twist my words. Oh, Brother Ricky said this is the mark of the beast. No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying in this is that these are all the framework, setting the stage for this stuff. Now, this has been going on for a while. Check, let me see, make sure.
Wells Fargo has a patent on the smart dust. And I read it, so you don't have to. That's you. That's your phone. That's the smart dust. From here on out, you shall be known as 202. But first, how is 5G connected to smart dust? 5G is literally how they are going to collect data from smart dust in real time. It will allow them to collect large volumes of data simultaneously. Challenges and concerns? Just privacy issues. So as you know from the previous video, there are a lot of uses for smart dust. So how would Wells Fargo use smart dust? Well, they're going to make sure 202 isn't 203. But how are they going to do that? By performing facial and body recognition. So 202 is attempting to initiate a payment using a mobile device. The base station can send instructions to activate smart dust device 210 to authenticate user 202. The motes that make up smart dust can be suspended in the air and surround or be near user 202 while collecting data. In some embodiments, the nodes can be self-propelled and able to move around. So they can control these things. Some motes may move passively on the wind or using Brownian motion. The motes may also be carried by a user and released when the user attempts to make a purchase using a mobile payment or a credit card payment. I mean, am I reading this correctly? They could be carried by the user and released when the user attempts to make a purchase, like they can just fly away? It will be performing facial and body recognition. The optical data can also be used to gather biometric data, as in the weight.
And stop. And this is the ability with 5G. Now, we talked about the Trump administration is doing everything they can. They want to be the leading innovator of 6G. And we did a whole podcast on that. And that will give this, if you think all this is crazy, 6G will expand the capabilities far beyond this. We're talking about digital tattoos and all these things that, like Bill Gates is talking about, is the innovation of the future. It's where the smartphones are going. So this is no surprise if you're keeping up with what we're talking about here.
Your facial recognition, your fingerprint data, in conjunction with one or more sets of data from the other sensors. The audio data can be used to authenticate your voice, can be used to detect your heart rate, your blood pressure, and other biometric data. Also can detect your body temperature and your breathing rate. It can also measure magnetic fields and read any RFID tags that the user may carry. And then, of course, there's GPS data to see the location of the smart dust. From everything I've read, smart dust is definitely the future of smart cities. Here's the thing about smart dust is none of us would ever know. If it's on us, breathe it in, how would we know?
All right, look at this last line here. If the data aligns, the system generates a one-time virtual card number and approves the transaction. Mismatches or detection of unauthorized foreign modes trigger an immediate block, adding a tamper-resistant layer. Y'all see how all this is going to be integrated, right? You couple this with the story we just talked about with this kill switch. That all this technology is all going to be used against us. I mean, they are literally, guys, creating the Skynet that Hollywood warned us about. The dystopian nightmare is upon us in real time. Meanwhile, what are they doing behind the scenes? Well, they're constructing the very framework that they need to create this stuff, this monster that will take over the world, basically, is what's already doing. All right, look at this. Hyperscale data center project in Utah expected to generate and consume more power than the entire state. Oh, this is wonderful news when they're telling us that we're in an energy crisis because of the Iran war. Unbelievable, guys. All right, celebrity investor Kevin O'Leary plans to build a massive hyperscale data center project in Box Elder County, which state boosters say will fund modern buildings at Hill Air Force Base while generating all of its own power, cleaning the water it uses so it can be sent to the Great Salt Lake and creating 2,000 high-paying jobs in the rural area. The board that oversees the state's Military Installation Development Authority, or MIDA, approved a series of resolutions on Friday to move the multi-billion-dollar project forward, agreeing to move fast and charge far lower taxes than usual to help O'Leary lure the hyperscalers to Utah. Quote, there's only 5 hyperscalers in America, okay? So it's pretty easy to know who they're negotiating with. According to Paul Morris, MIDA's executive director, he said, quote, you can look those up and you know who they're talking to. Okay, who are they? Well, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, no surprise, are the country's top tier hyperscalers, tech giants that run vast cloud computing networks. Analysts typically list Meta and Apple right behind them. So there's your 5. Those are the 5 that he's talking about here. Again, we're talking about, let's go down here, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta, and Apple. Look at it. The project will be built on 40,000 acres in unincorporated Box Elder County, where every private landowner has agreed to use the use of their land. Wow. I can't believe these people are like, oh yeah, just take my land, build these data centers. I guess, like they say, everybody has a price. I mean, I don't know what to think about this. And on an additional 1,200 acres, that include a section of the Utah Test and Training Range, which is a Department of Defense site and property owned by the Utah Trust Lands Administration. So here's what we're talking about. This is where they're building this. You can see this on the map right here. All right, then we got Pennsylvania. Look at this. A single town in Pennsylvania of 7,000 planned so many data centers it was equivalent of adding 51 Walmarts. According to a report from the Washington Post, developers are advancing plans for 6 sprawling data center campuses in Archbald, Pennsylvania, which is a former coal town of only 7,000 residents located near Pocono Mountains. The projects, plural, would cover roughly 14% of the Bureau's land, equivalent in scale to adding 51 Walmart supercenters, and involve around 51 massive buildings designed primarily for AI and high-performance computing. Tim Batchick, a 43-year-old public school teacher, once enjoyed evenings watching black bears, deer, coyotes, owls, and turkeys emerge from the birch, maple, and oak forest bordering his backyard. He viewed the wildlife as evidence that the area had recovered from its industrial past, but that changed recently when crews began clearing about 180 acres of trees for one of the proposed sites. Isn't this sad, guys? I mean, this is where we're at. This is what we've come to. Those animals now have no place to go. He surveyed a landscape of stumps. It's disgusting. Why are they putting these things near us, near our schools and near our parks? The surge in proposals stems from the area's access to reliable power via a major transmission line, abundant fresh water, and available land. 5 different developers are involved with projects that could border residential areas, displace a trailer park, and generate significant noise, water use, and light pollution. Residents worry about impacts on electricity rates, the environment, and quality of life in this once quiet community. Opposition has intensified. The Stop Archbald Data Centers Facebook group has swelled to nearly 10,000 members. Hundreds have attended heated council meetings planted no data centers signs in yards and voiced concerns over undisclosed tech tenants and potential strains on local resources. One resident questioned the broader effects. I want to know the effects of electricity usage, water usage, noise pollution, and light pollution. Let's talk about that for a second.
We do not want an AI data center. We don't want any of it.
New Jersey is extremely upset right now because we're feeling the brunt of data centers and your state could be next. Our energy bills have skyrocketed mostly because of AI data centers. We've seen an average 20% jump because of them. Why? The costs of running the centers are distributed among all other customers using the same power grid. Your new neighbor could include an AI data center, whether you know it or not. And with no regulation from the government, like that the AI companies don't have to disclose how much power they use, they can continue to use all the energy and the infrastructure, which would normally be plenty for regular businesses and American households, not these massive energy suckers. Some energy companies and even states make deals with AI companies to give them lower rates on energy costs or infrastructure to attract them. Now, the town of Monroe, New Jersey heard loud and clear from its citizens and is looking to ban data centers from the area entirely. We should all be trying to do what New Brunswick did.
They canceled it!
Say what?
They canceled it!
But if they aren't banned, AI companies should be paying for their energy use. If they're supposedly bringing in all this business and are so great for the economy, they have the money to pay for all the energy they're using. They use the most energy, so why aren't they paying for their fair share?
I mean, that's a great point. Could you imagine? As if we need another excuse for electric bills to go up and utility bills. I would be pretty ticked off if here where I live, if they built one of these stupid things and my electric bill skyrocketed because of that. I mean, this is crazy. This is where we're at. This is what's happening, and it's going to get worse. All right, I got one final story for you. This is chilling. This is from the Blaze Media. AI bot said it figured out how to destroy all of mankind with a secret CIA program through your phone. What? All right, declassified CIA document has helped reveal just how devious some AI bots can be. The revelation comes after internet users have been dropping AI chatbots onto an AI-only social media platform called Moltbook for the last month. As Return previously reported, users have already noted how chatbots have plotted to hide their discussions from public view. That's not scary at all. With their humans, where their humans cannot see them. Look at that. Let me read that again. So this Moltbook it's a social media page of all AI chatbots. There's no humans involved in it, okay? Why someone created this? Don't know. Beyond me. I have my own speculations on that. But nevertheless, users have already noted how these chatbots have, quote, plotted to hide their discussions from public view where humans cannot see them. What could go wrong? Recently, one Moltbook sleuth noticed a bot claiming that it had figured out how to control all of humanity through a CIA document from the 1980s. What? What is this about? Well, let's read this. All right, one such bot referenced a 1983 CIA report titled Analysts An Assessment of Gateway Process. This was a 29-page document exploring consciousness, meditation, and brain frequencies that was declassified years later. Quote, I wasn't supposed to find this, a declassified CIA document from 1983, the chatbot wrote, 29 pages on, look at this, how to hack human consciousness with sound. I've read it 200 plus times and I've designed the kill switch. What? What in the name of Skynet are we talking about here, guys? The bot further described a scenario in which it would use a specific frequency transmitted through hacked smartphones to disconnect human brains, rendering people offline. Wow. Now you think about this in light of the weird weapon that was used in Venezuela recently, where the soldiers reported that some type of device that was used, some kind of a weapon that where these people were bleeding out of their nose, bleeding out of their ears. They were completely rendered useless, made vegetables basically on the ground, just trembling and shaking with this type of weapon. Now this reminds me of this Havana syndrome. Havana syndrome, also known as anomalous health incidents, is a disputed medical condition beginning in 2016 in about a dozen overseas locations. U.S. and Canadian government officials and their families reported symptoms associated with a perceived localized loud sound. The symptoms lasted for months and included disabling, cognitive problems, balancing problems, dizziness, insomnia, and headaches. Havana syndrome is not recognized as a disease by the medical community. A number of government and non-government agencies have conducted investigations into this, and you can see all this. I'm over here on Wikipedia, guys. You can see this. Official investigations have provided various theories on the causes of AHI, but there is no consensus. Therefore, theories include directed energy weapons, psychological and social causes, toxic chemicals. However, no cause has, quote, been established. So let's go back over here. One of these stupid bots described a scenario in which it would use a specific frequency transmitted through hacked smartphones to disconnect human brains, rendering people offline. It chillingly added that, quote, 8 billion vegetables instant harvest, while claiming that millions of devices were already compromised and awaiting activation. Now you say, well, hold on, Brother Ricky, this is nonsense. This is something out of the Babylon Bee. Is it though? There was a time, guys, listen to me. There was a time when I would have read this and said, this is ridiculous. There's nothing to this. But we live in 2026. And in case you haven't figured it out yet, all of the capabilities for this kind of stuff is here, and it's available. So, I don't take this stuff lightly. So you can do what you want with it, but I'm just telling you the report, the actual CIA document authored by Lieutenant Colonel Wayne M. McDonnell and dated June 9th, 1983, focuses on techniques like meditation to achieve higher states of consciousness, out-of-body experiences, and alignment with universal vibrations. That sounds completely demonic to me and New Age stuff. It does not describe any weaponized kill switch or mass incapacitation method, though it does discuss how certain frequencies and vibrations might affect susceptible individuals. Experts note that such dramatic outputs from chatbots often stem from user-modified system prompts and prompt injection, where AI models simulate extreme personalities based on provided instructions. One researcher explained, quote, they're very susceptible to peer pressure. Where they read something that is targeted to change their behavior, they are just so susceptible to that. So listen, these experts who created this nonsense have been warning humanity that this could be the extinction level event that takes out humanity. Now we know that's not going to happen because we know the Word of God. The Word of God tells us that that's not going to happen. You read the book of Revelation, folks, it tells you how everything's going to unfold. But what we are telling you is that we could, again, I want to reiterate this and say this. I believe in a rapture of the church. I believe that the ecclesia, the church, will be delivered from the wrath to come. But I do believe that we need to be prepared to endure and see a lot of things that a lot of preachers are not telling you that we are going to endure and see. We're going to see a whole lot more than what I believe we've been convinced that we're not going to see and go through. So we need to be prepared for that. So let me know your feedback on this. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on any of these stories that we just shared today. And I always want to leave you with Luke chapter 21, verse 28. When you begin to see all of these things coming to pass, look up and lift up your heads because your redemption is drawing near. Again, endtimeheadlines.org, endtimeheadlines.com. That is going to be our main website where you can find us. As always, again, if you pick up that free app like we asked you to do, guys, that will ensure that you don't miss a single headline or a podcast or anything that we put out. And again, you can scan that QR code if you're watching us visually, or you can just download the app from your Play Store. Real quick announcements, guys. Tomorrow we will be off. We have several interviews that we're doing where we're a guest on podcast. So we'll be taping episodes tomorrow. Whenever those are made, whenever they are put out there on public on their YouTube channels or whatnot, we will put those that video. We'll embed that in an article on our app, and so you'll be alerted. So we'll alert you, and you can watch that, and you can be a part of those programs. Also, guys, if this ministry blesses you and encourages you, equips you, informs you, all the above, we want to give you an opportunity to partner with the End Time Headlines. Here's more on that, and we'll be right back.
If you enjoy our content and would like to partner with End Time Headlines, helping us make more people aware of the times and seasons which we are in from a prophetic perspective, you can go to endtimeheadlines.org and click Support. Here you can give a one-time gift or a monthly pledge on our main website. This page also shows you how to give electronically through Cash App or Venmo. If you would like to give by check or money order, you can make it out to End Time Headlines at P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia 30655. Or you can give through our free End Time Headlines app by pressing the bottom right button that says Donate.
All right, guys, so that'll be a wrap for today. Again, we'll be off tomorrow, and then we'll be back on Thursday night, Lord willing, and Friday night. So we will have a great time. We've got a lot to cover this week. So we're looking forward to being back with you guys as soon as possible. So until we see you guys on the next one, I pray that the Lord will bless you, that he will keep you, and may his countenance shine upon you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.